Speaking to journalists on a press conference, Waziri ATIKU Abubakar, a former presidential aspirant 2023, affirmed to a coalition. Well, the press conference was held to show his disagreement with the state of emergency that was issued and declared in Rivers State. And in a very uncanny turn of events, a journalist asked, do we see a coalition of opposition ahead of 2027, to which the Waziri affirmed and answered in the affirmative. Well, joining us this morning to put proper perspective to the developments, that will accrue after this, statement is Nze Chimaroke Nwosu. Nze Chimaroke Nwosu is a business consultant, is a social justice advocate, and also a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Nze, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, a press conference, we all know the background to, this subject matter. Waziri was there to actually, decry the state of emergency that was, declared in Rivers State. And it wasn't even about coalition of any sort. And a journalist asks, and he affirms and says, yes, this is a coalition of opposition ahead of 2027. Do you think that affirmation was done in a haste? Was he boxed into a corner? Since it wasn't the subject matter, it wasn't the bone of contention, it was just something that came as a curveball because a journalist asked him a question. So what do you think? What do you make of all this?
Yeah, actually, Turaki Admawa, fondly called ATIKU Abubakar, has been a known face and a figure in the political history of Nigeria, spanning back from the 1992 days when he ran for SDP primaries, and at the end of the day, he lost to of blessed memory, Abiola, and he was promised to be the vice to Abiola then, but unfortunately, Kingibe was brought in to replace him. But he didn't go back because he led a particular political group called PDM, People's Democratic Movement, which gave the inner force to the political development in that term dispensation. So what it happened that day, they gave a press conference concerning the Rivers state of emergency. I think he was boxed into a corner, but they say the abundance of the heart, the mass picket. You can see the political maneuvering going all over in the country by the political heavyweights, trying to coalesce with each other to form a formidable opposition, like they called it. But I think in my own way that they are becoming so late, because if you look at the political trend of the country, after May 29 this year, that's midterm of the 4 years tenure of this present administration, any serious opposition by now should have formed a shadow government, shadow group as an opposition to interrogate the policies and programs of the sitting government. That's how you get a strong coalition to unseat a sitting president or a sitting government. It's not always easy all over the world. How much the country, a development nation like ours, where we don't really most times keep to our ways, obey our rules and our laws, so to say. So any coalition that have not started forming roots now may not really succeed, but I think it's what is needed to make sure that the tides is being changed in the country now. And looking at the personality of ATIKU Abubakar in the political terrain and climate of this country, he needs to lead that bold face. ATIKU Abubakar, P2B, and the likes need to lead that bold face because they have had a retinue of followers for a very long time, and they are showing in the last general election to 2023 was very impressive. If not for missing of figures and what have you, mutilation and whatever, we would have gone for. In fact, people thought for people were thinking for a rerun. I didn't, because none of them meet the threshold of being declaring a president outrightly. But you know what we have? The judiciary is always there, that seen as the last hope of the common man, became in fact, the undoing of our democracy today. So I think a coalition of the opposition is most needed at this time to make sure that there is a change of government program and policies for the good of Nigeria going forward.
Talking about change of government, well, in 2015, actually, there was when the APC overthrew the ruling PDP in the presidential elections. Could you take us through, because you did mention that the coalition is a bit belated. Could you take us through what their strategy was that, ensured that, success at the polls, and then compare it to the coalition and, the alignment you're seeing with, our current opposition parties?
Yes, what happened, that was why I'm a bit worried about the coalition being in theory and not in practice. If you watch what happened after 2011 election, the breath of fresh air,
yes,
when Goodluck Jonathan, after completing the period of Yaradua,
yes,
came in and they stayed in for PDP, and that was that election he won. So in 2015, immediately the so-called or the opposition party then, the ACN of this world and the likes, lost that election. They went into a post-mortem review of what happened in 2011, and they saw where they had the problems, the gaps. Part of the which were the messaging aspect of their campaign, the mobilization, the reach, the regional coverage. I think people saw them as regional and religious inclinated political group then, but the ACN was coming from the flank of the west, southwest, while that of the CPC, led by Buhari, was coming from that of the north. I think looking at the flowing of the two figureheads, the current president Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Muhammad Buhari, joining together with all their followers, I think they said, okay, we could do away with this sentiment of religion, regionalism, ethnicism, and come up and throw up a Nigerian political group.
Common front.
That was how they left their identity, the original identity, and say, let's all have a common front. And I can tell you, who midwife this is our brother Obunayono of Blessed Memory, who was the chairman of AMPP then, ITME. He was the one who reached out in secrecy to Buhari and also to Tinubu before they could agree, ITME, and came on board. In fact, he was started to be the vice president for Buhari. But because of the heavyweight, the command of Tinubu was given who actually wanted to be the vice president. But because of the kind of persons, Bukola Saraki, Abubakar, and what have you, that are part of that coalition then, I think they say, no, we cannot have a Muslim ticket now. It is too early to do that. Even if we tried it during Abiola and Kingibe, it was. But now the country is divided across such hard lines.
Yes.
I think. So at that point, Tinubu was not okay. In as much as we know you are going to be the one to, you are supposed to be the vice president candidate for this group. Can you please nominate anyone? That was how Professor Imoshibanjo was thrown up, having worked with Tinubu as the AGF of Lagos State then, and they've been a trusted ally for so many years. He threw up with him single-handedly, and to do the thing, they won that election. Because they went home and look at, where did we get this thing wrong? Who do we need? Before now, the political group in Nigeria see each other in different parties as opposition, as enemies, not just opposition. But at the time they ended that particular 2011 election, there are some bad, angry people, angry members who left PDP, the likes of ATIKU, the likes of Saraki, and what have you, Tambowa and co. They left, so they now went and grabbed them. So now, can we have such thing? You can see maybe they started in 2012, started 2013, begin to do mobilization, begin to do protests in all the regions of the country, in all the states of the country. I think they didn't just go and sleep. But what I see after 2023 election is that the opposition parties were not together. Almost every one of them are having internal crisis, challenges. There's no figurehead, so to say. So in that regard, it will be difficult for them to form a coalition if they don't start now. If you don't, in the couple of months, announce that this is what it is, whether P2B will be the face of that coalition, whether it's any other person, are you getting me? They may not be able to get what we need in 2027. Are you getting me? You know, politicians think of the next election, while the statesmen think of the next generation. So for those who are in power today, they are all politicians. They are thinking already, immediately they were sworn in, they begin to think about how would they win 2027 election. How would they stay longer than expected in power? Even with the hard policies of the government that's affecting everybody. Are you getting me? But they are working day and night to see how they can be able to transform those negative policies that people feel in perception that it's bad for them, that they will not allow them to even think of voting them again in 2027. But before that 2027, you can see some eggs, some low-hanging fruit they will throw to the masses, because they have weaponized poverty in the country. That even if you are kept hungry for as much as 20 years or thereabout, the moment they offer you a slice of bread, you will say, let me use this one and quench my hunger. And you forget those days of your hunger, I think your poverty and penury, you know.
Yes.
That's what happens.
Now, you did allude to the fact that it seems as though the Waziri, ATIKU Abubakar, was boxed to a corner in, affirming, the question by the journalists. It wasn't a press statement to come and say, hey, there's a coalition going on.
We can.
Regardless of the fact that you also said that it's a bit belated. Now, do you think it's what's going on in Rivers State was the last, straw that broke the camel's back, for the PDP and other opposition parties, now consequently causing them to fight for this opposition?
Of course, that Rivers State action was a shock for me.
Can you tie the knots for us and tell us how everything ties together?
Yeah, that Rivers State, there are spring states in Nigeria.
What do you mean by
spring state? The state if you have them in your government, your team, a stronghold, you go and sleep, so to say. And those spring states are Kano, Lagos, Rivers, Ogun State. If you come to Southeast here, you have Anambra as one of the spring states here. These are if you don't win them, you may not be returned Kaduna, you may not be returned elected, so to say. And if you don't have the resources, you may not be happy. River State and the Delta combined produce, let me say, 65% of the resources of this country in terms of crude oil pumping or whatever. I think and you cannot play with such states. So the moment P2B won River State, at the 12 a.m. or 12 noon on that day of election, the result had been announced all over the world. But the likes of Wike, the gladiator of the Rivers politics or whatever, stopped the announcement of the election. In fact, coppers were killed even, those who were returning office or whatever. And they didn't announce it. They're using it to negotiate for TINUBU, because he already said he will not support ATIKU Abubakar because he was shortchanged in the primaries of PDP. And P2B did not allude or align with his proposal. So he now keep sealed mouth, only give P2B the allowance to campaign in Rivers or whatever. But P2B had an organic followership. He didn't coerce them. He didn't give them anything to follow him. People were following, putting their money, their resources, everything to just throw up a new Nigeria. So, but Rivers, having said that Rivers has that particular number, they need to use Rivers to negotiate power. And what Wike did was to get Rivers to negotiate power by mutilating the result and whatever, and it was added up at the end of it all to make TINUBU win. But they're looking at the trends across board, across the regions and the geographic zone. Obi was doing very well. He may not, where he didn't win, at least he became third or second. So when you add the numbers together, when the result of Lagos and the FCT was announced and they say we won, that's it. The law we have in the country is that if you don't win FCT, you will not be returned elected as Nigerian president. That's the law. That's the constitution. But whatever they judiciary did to remediate that and change it to something else, I don't know. Where FCT is seen as a state, it's on revenue sharing, not on political aspects. On politics, the Buhari have lost this election twice and they say he didn't win the FCT. Even if you win other states and don't win FCT,
25%
plus FCT, you cannot be returned elected. But whatever TINUBU do or the APC of this day did to get that particular thing changed, I don't know. Maybe we should another conjecture we need to unravel. But the happening in Rivers State today is a tough wake-up call. Not just for PDP, not just for Labour Party, SDP, AMPP, or whatever, but for Nigerians. It's high time everybody will rise up and say, we are all political beings. Depending on what, even in this office you are here, you are political, you have politics here. And he who holds political power commands economic power, commands religious power, commands whatever power you have on earth. It's the political power. One policy will change the lives of Dangote to go into hiding. That's what it is. So the issue of Rivers State today is an issue that everybody should not go to sleep about, even though they say it's 6 months. I cannot understand when we are into a democracy of 25 years and above, and the practice of the then military is what we are still bringing on board. If you want to bring a sole administrator to Rivers State, don't you see any civil servant, any former PAMSEC from Rivers or from anywhere who will not steer the ship of that particular period for the period of time, even when the court will say, okay, to change it or not. But what he did was to go and bring up a military person again, for that matter, to come and steer the ship in Rivers for that 6 months.
Very ironical.
Very ironical, to say the least. So it means that we are saying that we as politicians, we as civil people, are not better than the military. The military should come back and take over leadership in the country. I stand to be corrected if that's not what they meant. Because given that endorsement is telling that the military are better. Check the development in Nigeria. Most of the things we have today, we're doing today, are done by the military leadership, even though they are leading by the gun. Tell me what else that the democracy for 1990 they have done, except the one that was done by Obasanjo administration. Tell me what else. All the whole infrastructure we have in the country today are done by the military, are built by the military. Rather than transforming them and taking them, making them better, we are killing all of them. Where are our blue chip corporations in the country?
Technocrats.
Where are they? Where are they?
But do you think the president could be a victim in this whole saga, seeing that he himself has been adverse to military dictatorship? He, as ECOWAS leader, actually threatened some West African countries and threatened to overthrow the military junta. So do you think he himself, this is just, by the way, it's not the crux of the matter, but I want you to speak to that. Do you think he is a victim in all this?
If he's a victim, that means, let me not use let me not sound immodest. He is would I say, that is there anything like intelligent victim? I don't think he should be a victim today, because he has been a thorough Democrat for a long time. I have been preaching for the tenets of democracy to be operated. I was taken aback. I was shocked. Anyone who ever advised him to take this hasty decision didn't do well for him. He had dented the political image as a person, as a Democrat. The TINUBU I know, who championed, who sleep on the street, who fought Abacha, who left this country and came back here and today is the president, to take this kind of decision.
Which is why I asked.
When you look at the 305, so 305 constitution, that there are sequencing of action. And it's the governor who will ask the president to declare the state of emergency. What will happen in terms of state of emergency, where the administration cannot be able to make laws, that the assembly, is that the federal assembly will take over the lawmaking for that period. But they cannot even make law that will change the governor. They can't impeach the governor.
It's a constitutional matter.
It's a constitutional matter. This is not by policy. So, but when we pick and choose the one we obey, how would you remove a sitting governor elected by people, but the same mandate you enjoy, and you didn't think it through that you ask the Minister of FCT to set aside for the period, because he come on air and made bold declaration and threatened a whole nation of your group. What will happen? Who they are? Who tell you he can do that? When you take the trajectory backward, you see where Wike started his political life.
All right, before we go down that rabbit hole, we're trying to tie the relationship between the coalition and what's happening in Rivers State. So are you saying that the coalition became necessary to salvage Nigeria's democracy?
It is more than necessary at this point, and they have to wake up. I'll
tell you why I said that. In an interview with a chieftain of the Alliance Party, he was saying that his party will not be part of the coalition, and his reason was that the coalition is a result of angry people coming together, to form a coalition. And when they were in power, talking about El-Rufai, Nasir El-Rufai and Waziri Atiku Abubakar, they didn't even do better themselves. What do you think?
I don't know the person that you interviewed anyway, and the party you are talking about, but I want to answer you with our local dialect. As na opara arebara na agalu yang, meaning that if the first son does not go mad, become angry, in quote, he will not be married for. The tradition of Igbo land is that the father marries, establishes the first son, like the heir apparent. Whatever happened to the other sons doesn't matter, but the father will establish who
his
the
successor.
I think. So the reaction, the action of the APC of today, of those days, was as a result of anger. They were irritated, they lost and became angry. So that will make you to begin to change, begin to agitate, or begin to ask for what belongs to you. Is that you are being treated.
You use your anger
you are not being treated well.
Yes,
you are not treated well. If you are treated well, even at home, even in marriages, you will not complain. But the complaint of today is germane. It's legitimate because it's as a lot of things are not being done properly that you say, no, this is not what we agree. And you begin to agitate. That's okay, I'm not looking for part of this group or part of that group. And you now begin to throw up this kind of reactions. So correlation is thrown up by not being comfortable or not by being aligned with what the establishment are doing. It's cultivating what their action is. That throw up coalition anywhere in the world. I think you look at what is happening in Germany today and all this Western world. There are coalition over there. This party will join with this party will join to make sure they sit the government that are not doing well. So coalition is as a result of anger. But reverse action of state of emergency by the president is a wake-up call that is staring at our faces, not just as politicians. Civil society group, the women, local women, the town unions, everybody should wake up. The student union should wake up and condemn this evil. It's an evil that is waiting to deal with us in the future if nothing is done. Don't tell us that Obasanjo did in his own days against diarrhea and whatever. No, we have gone past that particular age in democracy. If we are the symbol of leadership, of relation in Africa, we should be seen to be doing those things in that light.
All right. The leader or the flag bearer, as we know it all, of Labour Party, TINUBU,
yes,
was conspicuously absent in that press conference. Do you see Labour Party aligning with this coalition?
Yes, I see the Labour Party aligning because Obi have said it's not about being a president of Nigeria that is interested about. It's about betting a new Nigeria, where everyone, every Dick and Harry, every citizen of this country, whether you are from the east, west, north, and south, have the same major treatment. I think enjoy the same treatment as every other person. There shouldn't be any sacred cow or whatever. That is the essence of coming into politics. Obi, as a person, is very comfortable. He's one of the richest beings in Africa, if people don't know. But he's not looking at his wealth or whatever. But you want to see how he can be able to transform the country, change the country. Knowing full well, if you don't hold political power, you cannot do much. So when you look at that conference, you can see Tanko, the coordinator of national coordinator of the Obedient movement, he was there. If that man is there, it means that Obi is there in principle, is there in spirit, but he's not there in spirit. Obi is not
any statement. Obi doesn't align.
Obi reviews anything you say, and that is why you cannot find Obi one thing, whatever he is doing. Check it. This is the only man who can throw up his data if he function to the FCC, to ICPC, or to anybody. Say, please go and check. I will foot the bill. Go anywhere in the world. If you find me wanting anything, please, I will stop this. Nobody can do it. Not even one person can do that. So whatever you see Obi says, before he comes out to say that thing, he must have thought through it, line by line, and know that this was. Obi is the only man that has a trust of Nigeria today. Take it or leave it. He has a trust of the young generation, the old people, even those who cannot even walk or talk again. He has their trust. So he is very careful of taking any action that people will look at and begin to interpret. He's just gauging the water. You know, for you to enter into a stream, you use one leg to watch. If you put your two legs, the water may carry you once. He's looking at what is happening. If the coalition is going to favor Nigerians,
do we have time to take that kind of critical look at
from what they believe, they are the politicians. You know, we are just a civil society group, and they know, they may know what they're doing at the bedroom. You know, in the morning they as if they are not together. In the evening, you see them dining and whining somewhere. Maybe for Atiku Abubakar to have, in the presence of El-Rufai, who did not believe with him some years ago, now believing with him as one things, to say that in the public, on air, before the camera, it means that there's reach out, there's connection that we are not seeing. And I believe if they can take up this theory into practice, create a shadow platform of government, how they are going to be, show people what they can do differently than what is going on.
Now,
I think
as a parting shot, in just a minute, if for any reason Obi is not selected as the presidential flag bearer, will Labour Party still be in a position to still be part of the coalition?
You know, Obi have said that the obedient movement, or especially is not tied in a particular political group or family. So Labour Party may not enjoy Obi candidature if things are not being properly done, because they have internal issues that are yet to resolve now.
All right.
So the movement is for Nigerians, and if Obi is not thrown up, it may be difficult to unseat this government. That's the truth about it. Obi is the only trust that Nigerians are looking up to salvage the
Thank you so much, Nze Chimaroke, for your insights and perspective. It's been a great time, talking with you, and I'm sure we learned a thing or two.